I believe that getting to $100,000 is imperative, because right now with the uncertainty economically, and what's going to happen is when we go into a recession, because we have not had one in a while, because you have all of these artificial factors that have hindered us from going and really experiencing what a real recession is going to be.
Look, who cares about pride? Especially in today's world, nobody cares. If you care still, then you're not going to get to where you meet. You make your living by day and you build your wealth by night. That's a real mindset principle.
Welcome to the Family Office, planning for the people who matter most.
So I just guess to transition out some finances here. We were talking about why it's important. Obviously, why it's important to have some savings, and why it's important to develop a mindset of that, or at least becoming a wealthy, or having good financial habits is really mindset, right? That's really what it is. A lot of people get it wrong. They think they have to track numbers and stuff like that, but reality is it's the mindset of it. But I think we were talking about the importance of getting to $100,000 in savings right now, and why that's so important, and what that looks like. Len, you want to take a lead on that, and then I can kind of go in from that? I mean,
sure. So, yep.
I mean, I learned a lot about that just watching you and how frugal you were. I know there's a difference between being cheap and being frugal, and just watching that and how that's created a lot of peace in your life. And what that means to you versus someone who doesn't have the discipline to save, and why they don't need a bailout. They got to change a mindset.
Yeah. For me, one thing, I live in a neighborhood where it's transitioned over the years. So I've been in my same house for a little over 20 years. And so when I first moved in the neighborhood, all of the folks here were original owners. And so what began to happen is the owners began to move away, and then renters started to come in. And so if renting is a part of your investment strategy, that's great, because my next door neighbor, they own a pizza shop. So they made money, they made profits, and now they rent their house out. Somebody's paying their rent for them. For me, I did some renting early in my career. I'm getting to the $100,000 question, but the reason why I wanted to tell about my evolution is because I made a lot of mistakes, a lot of rookie mistakes along the way. And so one of the mistakes that I made is I hate the idea of being a landlord now, because of my first sets of experiences. Because what I did, because prices were so high at the time in California, I owned property in Washington, I owned property in Oregon, I owned property in Texas, I owned property in Georgia. And so what began to happen is, because I wasn't there on a regular basis, I couldn't really see the property on a regular basis, and I didn't understand how communities were going to be transformed. So I invested in a property, and it was a great price from a California perspective. We ended up spending a couple $100,000 on a house. The house was beautiful, dual case, stairwells and all of those things. But what I realized is, to rent that house out, we were having to charge about $1,700 a month just to cover the mortgage. Well, in that particular area, I didn't know that rents were going for about $1,200 or $1,300. So every month we were eating about $300 to $400 just to be able to have a rental property. And so for me, when I went to go visit the property one time, the garage door was scrunched up like a pretzel, and you could literally walk into the house, because what happened is, during the 2008 economic downturn, the person living in our property happened to be a truck driver who drove different housing materials, so pipings and stuff like that. And so he was laid off, so he couldn't make his payments. So we had to evict him. And as a result of that, the house got messed up, and we had to put in thousands of dollars. And long story short, we ended up short selling it. So I lost a few $100,000 in just that one investment. So for me, the idea of being a landlord and a renter is not the business. But what another lesson that I saw, though, is that there was another household that moved in, and they had 4 different families living in the same household. So what they did is, at first I wasn't happy about it because there are lots of cars down the street, but I had a conversation with the gentleman. One of the things that he told me is, he said, look, one thing that we believe in is making sure that we save our money. And so then the first person that moves in, so we own the home, and then we have other families that come and they stay at a significantly reduced rate. So it helps us with our house payment, but it also allows them to save money. And so what they do is they save money, they start a business, they get that business, and then they move out, and then they pass on the savings to another family, and then they keep rotating. And so that was the economic strategy for them. And so my point so far is that regardless of your economic strategy, you have to live beneath your means. So for me, I believe that getting to $100,000 is imperative, because right now, with the uncertainty economically, and what's going to happen is when we go into a recession, because we have not had one in a while, because you have all of these artificial factors that have hindered us from going and really experiencing what a real recession is going to be. So when that happens, the things that cost $500,000 now will be reduced to $250,000. That watch right now that somebody's wearing, that's $150,000 watch, they'll sell it for $75,000. That house that somebody's staying in will be foreclosed on. And if they're not bailed out by you coming in and taking over their payment, because they still came in at post-pandemic interest rates, you can take advantage of those things. And so having money during a recession, liquid cash on hand, you'll be able to extend the value of your dollar. So I know you're really proficient in your money. If you had $100,000, what would you do with it? How would you invest it? What kind of advice would you give folks that are out there? And when I say advice, I'm not talking about you giving them financial advice, but I'm talking about just what are some ideas they could think about. Because make sure you talk to a tax advisor, make sure you talk to a financial advisor before you make any ultimate decisions. We're just having an open conversation about different possibilities.
I think for me, the importance, and that's always just like the golden thing, and I've always read it a lot, is it's like you got to get to $100,000 saved, just simply because from there you could start to double and start to compound the money a lot faster and a lot easier, right? And ultimately, it's like, Kevin literally said at the end of the day, is like, you got to get $5 million liquid cash in the bank, because $5 million, you're insulated. You could do, pretty much anything you want. And then, others said 10 million is the number as well, $10 million. So for me, that's always been stuck, is you want to be $10 million liquid, and, that's the number, right? But getting to 100,000 is a mindset. And that's really the first milestone where you can kind of really have a big celebration. Go, I got $100,000. And a lot of times people go, okay, that's great. What do I do, once I get there? Because to me, and there's different schools of thought, but I think that it's harder to get there than it is to stay there, right? Because there's so many different cool ways you could to invest to stay there and make that money go to work if you're educated and you've taken the time to actually educate yourself and actually put some effort in. Nothing you do is going to get you there without effort first. I mean, and when I say that, it's like, and this is the quiet part that a lot of people don't want to hear, Len, and and I know this, is that, look, be prepared to be let down, be prepared to get uncomfortable, and be prepared to work 14, 16 hours a day, 6, 7 days a week for an extended period of time, for a certain amount of time, because, consistent performance or consistent activity over a consistent amount of time equals results. So if you start to really get into that mindset, then it becomes very easy. But for me, to get there, look, live with your parents. I don't care. There's no pride in that. Live with your parents if it's too expensive for you to get on your own. Don't be house poor or apartment poor or domicile poor, rather, right? And, I got this great place to live. I've done that before. I get this great place to live, but I have no money, right? Well, what are you going to do? I can sit in my house. Eventually that becomes very boring, right? So don't become, this person where it's like, look, who cares about pride? Especially in today's world, nobody cares. If you care still, then you're not going to get to where you meet. So don't be prideful. Develop some side hustles. Get some side hustles. That's how I did it. Get a side hustle. Eventually, it's like, what is it? You make your living by day and you build your wealth by night. That's a real mindset principle. And we did that. I was moonlighting for a very long time. I moonlighted for a very long time, but it got me to that point. And start a business. You got to understand, and you got to learn. You got to understand commerce, and you got to learn business. You can't. It's not good enough just to learn your job and go to work. You've got to. I encourage everyone, even if you already have a $250,000, $500,000 salaried income, go start a side business. Because you've got to understand it. So for me right now, if I had $100,000 to invest in something, I am investing in a business. I'm buying a business at discount. I'm not investing in real estate yet. I'm looking at that in 26, 27, 28, when I think there's just going to be some, a lot of analysts, a lot of trends point to that being a good time. You're going to have some softening in a lot of markets. You're already starting to see that in some hot markets that were really inflated, like Austin, where it's like 20, 30% decreases. You're seeing that. So
because of the Californians moving in, huh?
Yeah, because of all that, because of certain governors forcing people to leave their states because they just can't run it correctly because they're poor executives. I mean, all those different things that happen. And then that, by the way, that's no dig on anyone. Look, you had your chance. You did a good job. I commend you. It's nothing personal, by the way. There's nothing personal against anything against a poor performing politician. It just becomes against them when they start to just deny the truth about it. Just like, hey, I'm doing a great job. No, you're not, right? Any private company would have fired so many politicians by now. Any private. It's just. But at any rate, I would be investing in a business. I'd be investing in myself. I would be investing in stuff that's not traditional. I certainly wouldn't be calling my Fidelity Investments advisor or anything. I wouldn't be calling any of that. I would be looking for stuff that's private. I'd be looking for stuff that's non-traditional and stuff that's ahead of the curve. And I would be investing in that. There's so many great investment opportunities in the marketplace today. But for me, the primary thing is investing in myself, but investing in some type of business that has a huge demand right now. And there's so many of them. I would be investing in a business. If I don't own a business yet, I'm investing in a business.
Yeah. And I think, the issue that I've found in the years that I've lived is that you talked about something really important, which is the mindset that it takes to put yourself in a position to save $100,000. Because once you save $100,000, you can save 110. Once you save 110, you can save 150. And that trend never stops because you've built the muscle. And I would say the first 10,000 is the hardest. And because credit card companies rely on the fact that if they extend you credit, you're going to utilize all of that credit that you have. And that's the reason why your credit score sucks, is because you don't have discipline. I have hundreds of thousands of dollars of access to credit. I have a couple of cards that have unlimited spending power, and I don't use it because whatever I spend, I pay it off by the end of the month because I just want the points so I can travel and get all kinds of perks from the cards. But that's the reason why my credit score is above an 800, because I have discipline. Now, was it always like that? Absolutely not. So I'm not here to point fingers at you. I'm not here to pass judgment at all, because yes, my credit score was in the 500s at some point because I was starting a business.
I was going to say,
and
you weren't in the 400 club? You weren't in the 400
I didn't get to the 400s, but I was like at 506. It was really bad. And so, yeah. So, if you're not of the mindset to start a business, that's okay. Business is not for everybody. I know that business is not for everybody, but Chris may believe that business is for everybody. And if he does, cool. But I don't necessarily aspire to that. If business is not for you because you don't have the discipline to work 14 hours a day, 6 or 7 days a week, business may not be for you. If you don't have the discipline to defer gratification because people are going to be talking about you and saying that your ideas suck and that you're dumb for doing that, business may not be for you. But find something to make sure that you're having extra income. So like Chris talked about before, get a side hustle, make extra money. So for you, if business isn't for you, always have another work place that you can go to create income. And maybe having an established business where, Chris and I have employees. We have people that work for us. We have people that are 1099, people that are W-2, and we're responsible for their income. Maybe that's not your thing. Maybe it's being a sole proprietor where you're just doing your own thing. So you find something that you enjoy to do and you do it better than other people. So you bring value to the marketplace. You charge more than what you spend for that product or service that you provide, and you can make money that way. But the fastest way, if business is for you, the fastest way to earn a return on your investment is to start a business. Very few investment instruments will give you the kind of return that a business will give you. And so because of that, that's one of the reasons why we suggest having a business is the fastest way to propel you to where you want to go. But if it's not, then have another side hustle, have some other ways to make money, and just take the slower approach. But then make sure that your dollars you make go out and bring friends. And what that is, that's investment. So having something like an ETF, having something like, because one of the things that you cannot do is you're not going to outperform the market. Unless you're on your computer 8-10 hours a day, you're not going to outperform the market. So don't think you are. Everybody thinks they're smarter than the market. And all of those are the dum-dums that are getting beat by the market. So just be a part of the market, get an ETF. And if you have more, look at other private types of funds like, different coins. You have different liquidity pools that are out there. You have, your Bitcoins of the world and your Ethereums of the world and all of the different cryptocurrencies that are out there. Look at that class. Look at real estate investment trusts. So instead of having real estate, you might want to have a real estate investment trust that you pool your money with other people to allow yourself to invest in real estate without having the daily issues of managing those properties and all of those things. Take a look at what types of investment sectors in the real estate space are doing well. For example, right now, the senior market is doing quite well because you have a proliferation of seniors that need a place to live and there's not enough space for them. So a lot of investment is going towards senior living because you have all of these folks with no place to live as they start to transition. And so for me, as a home care agency owner, I need to know what the trends are in the aging population. So that's why that is an idea that came to mind because I'm in that space. So, whatever it is that you decide to do, find a sector that's of interest to you and then find ways to make your money grow. So maybe real estate isn't something that you're interested in. Maybe elder care or elderly is not something you're interested in. Maybe you're interested in technology. So then find stocks or ETFs that align with that, but find some ways to go and put your money to work. And going back to it, closing with Chris's point, full circle, is always, no matter what, live beneath your means. Always spend less than what you make. And when you start to make more, don't automatically increase your lifestyle, because the type of money that we make in our household, we could have moved many times. We could have had many more cars, but no, I like to have liquid money because I want to go where I want and I want to stay as long whenever I want on my own terms. I want to be free. And my financial situation has allowed me to live a life where I can be free and get up and go anywhere. So depending upon what you want to do, you just make sure that you always live beneath your means.
I think the most important thing in emphasizing to package that up, which you said, is just get motivated to, or force yourself to motivate yourself. Go try to do something. Go find something out and go do it. Because again, it doesn't really matter what you do. You got to know what you're going to like, and you just got to go do it. I mean, I just asked ChatGPT. I said, give me some good side hustles for 2025, and it just gave me like a huge list of a massive and these are things that it's like, dang, this is easy stuff to do. Like, this is easy stuff to do. To me, the fundamental thing always is in it.
Send me that, and maybe we can integrate that as we edit this video. Let's try to do that.
What I think the best thing to do is figure out and set, because we're so good at figuring out how to spend that $100,000. Figure out a way for once in your life to make that money generate more money.
Absolutely.
If you can constructively, and by the way, it doesn't have to be where it's like, oh, I got to figure this out today. I got to take some time with it. And that's one of the best things is when you're not under duress, right? Or like that, where like, I got to do something fast, right? When you're not under that duress like that, you can start creating so much more freelance and so much more creative. And that just allows you to just be more free in your decision-making process because you're not stressed out about anything like that. So
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So such a good point, man. I've really enjoyed our conversations, man. We talked about quite a few topics today. So I hope that people in the audience got some value from it. And man, so thanks for taking the time with me, Chris. I appreciate it.
Always love chatting with you. I can't believe it's almost been an hour, almost two. Oh shoot, it's almost been 2 hours, right? Yeah, look, if you enjoyed this content or you enjoyed this conversation, tell somebody about it, share it with somebody. And if you have something to say about it, you want to comment, we want to engage with you as well. Drop a comment in there. We're happy to talk with you guys. I know not everybody's going to agree, but that's what it's here for. That's what makes America great, is the fact that we can have a conversation, a dialogue, and at the end of it, we can still be friends, still be neighbors, still work together, still make money and prosper together. So again, we're never above you, never below you. We're always next to you. We appreciate everybody tuning in today. Len, I appreciate your time. As always, it's always moving fast, and I'll see you on the next one. Have a great rest of your day today. I'm going to go eat and do some birthday festivities today, and I appreciate you always as a friend and as a mentor.
Absolutely. And again, man, happy birthday. Many more to you, brother.
Have a great one.
All right, you
Send
too.
my best. Take care.
All right.
Conversation has given you clarity on your next steps. Please share this episode with someone who's walking the same path. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss future episodes. And remember, planning ahead isn't just prudent, it's an act of care. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on The Family Office.